Here it refers to the development of those areas, particularly which are economically backward and socially backward areas. So, in order to safeguard the farmers from these exploitation and manipulation from the traders, the government intervention was needed. The farmers producing fruits, vegetables and flowers are encouraged to sell their products to the direct consumers. The farmers directly sell their produce to consumers, it increases their income. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Nikhilavati S, Faculty of Commerce, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. I welcome you all for the sessions on the subject Economics for first PUC. So in part B, let us discuss the fifth chapter, that is Rural Development. This chapter is all about the rural development and some of the major problems of rural areas, so that if India has to be developed, first the rural areas are to be developed. So here let us discuss about what is rural development is all about and what are some of the problems of rural areas and where the government has to concentrate more on, and also how is the agricultural market as well as credit system in rural areas. So in today's session we will be discussing what is rural development is all about and how is the credit and marketing system in rural areas. Then what is the rural banking and how is the banking system in rural areas, as well as how is the agricultural market system and some of the marketing channels that the rural areas of India have. First, let us discuss what is rural development is all about. So as we know, development is improvement of something, but here the rural development refers to the development of human resources including literacy, more specifically to talk about female literacy, education, skill development, healthcare, land reforms, development of productive resources, infrastructure, etc. That means here it refers to the development of those areas, particularly which are economically backward and socially backward areas. The development of those areas which have remained socially and economically backward. And particularly in rural development and in rural areas, some of the major problems are unemployment, lack of education, lack of awareness regarding social problems, then there might be problem of land disputes, then also the productive resources of each locality need to be developed so that the people of rural areas are able to earn some income, and infrastructural development, special measures for alleviation of poverty. So as we can see, these are the major problems of rural areas. That includes, let us discuss one by one. First is development of human resources including literacy. So education is most important, particularly in rural areas. So improving the literacy rate and more specifically female literacy rate as well as education and skill development. So it's not just education but also health, because health and education are the most important sources of human capital, so that if the rural people are provided with good health care and education, they'll be able to earn more. If they are able to develop their skills, they are able to generate more income also. So it is going to improve their standard of living. Both education, healthcare as well as sanitation and public health is important. Then coming to land reforms, as we have studied in the first chapter also, since independence there were problems of land disputes. Earlier zamindari system was there, but after independence there were also disputes regarding the tenants and the actual owners of the land. So some of the land reforms and land ceiling also is going to help the rural people and the development of productive resources of each locality. So, the productive resources here refers to those resources which are helping the people to generate some income. So, say for example, for the fishing community, improvement of lakes, rivers and other waterways help them to make the productive activities in terms of fishing. So, just like that, the infrastructure development. Here the infrastructure development in terms of road and transport, so that the rural people are able to mobilize and move towards other places and market their produce easily. And as well as some of the special measures for alleviation of poverty. So, here what are the measures taken to remove the poverty? Some of the measures from the government like MG Narega, it's helping the people to get minimum 100 days of employment and to get them wages for 100 days. And not only that, through the public distribution system, the government is issuing wheat, rice and other food grains to the poor people under the BPL card. And BPL here refers to below poverty level. So, those people who fall under the BPL are getting the free distribution of food grains from the government. These are the important areas of rural development. Moving forward, let us see how was credit and marketing in rural areas. So, credit and marketing system in rural areas at the time of independence, it was exploited. The farmers and small traders were exploited by the money lenders. So, here both the money lenders and traders used to exploit small and marginal farmers and landless laborers by lending them on very high interest rate, and not only that, they used to manipulate the accounts. They were used to manipulate the accounts in calculation of principal and interest amount and make them keep in the debt trap. In rural areas, farmers and the people who are especially under the poverty line, like they used to, they were in need of the money for actually day-to-day expenses. Along with that, some of the big expenses like marriages or any functions, or since they had very seasonal unemployment, that means they required from 3 to 4 months, minimum of 3 to 4 months from the day of sowing the crop into till the harvest. So, in that period they were in need of the money, and at the time of sowing the seeds also they were in need of the money for cultivation, sowing seeds and carrying out other farming activities. So, they used to borrow from money lenders, and money lenders were used to grant them loans or give them at a very high interest rate. So, they were easily exploited by the rich and the money lenders of that particular rural areas. So, only a change had occurred only after 1969 when India adopted social banking as well as multi-agency approach towards the banking, so that they meet the needs of rural credit. So, under this there was this introduction of NABARD, that is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, was set up in 1982, and it was established as an authority and apex body only for agricultural credit to improve the agricultural sector. And after that, some of the institutional structure of rural banking, today we have like commercial banks. Commercial banks are those banks which does this work of accepting the deposits and lending loans. And the regional rural banks were established, famously known as RRBs, and cooperative banks were developed, and some of the land development banks, as well as along with these commercial and rural banks, it is popularly known as SHGs, where around 20 to 25 female members of that particular village used to form a group which is called as self-help groups, and they used to collect pool a small amount of money and pay to the bank, so that in that way they were able to get a big amount of loan. So SSGs was a microcredit system that was bought in rural areas which helped many families and women, particularly in getting the credit at very lower interest rate. And even NABARD has given the farmers at a very lower interest rates. NABARD has played a major role in contributing towards agricultural sector and contributing through the agricultural credit. Then coming to the critical aspects of rural banking, like though rapid expansion of the banking system had a positive effect on rural farm as it was used to lend loans and advances to the farmers, but it was with very high interest. And even for both rural farm and non-farm output, income and employment, as well as especially after the Green Revolution, but there was this commercial banks and other formal institutions have failed because to develop a culture of deposit mobilization, because they were charging very high interest rates to the farmers, and farmers were not able to pay even the banks loans. Then the problems with the non-repayment of the loans from the farmers have arisen. So in order to improve this situation in rural areas, and in recent years especially, the adults are encouraged to open bank accounts as a part of the scheme called Jan Dhan Yojana, where every citizen of India above 18 years can open their account with zero minimum balance. So this has not only encouraged all the adults to open their bank accounts, they need not keep minimum bank balance, and this has led to more than 50 crore people opening bank accounts around the country. And indirectly, it has promoted thrift habit as well as efficient allocation of financial resources, particularly in rural areas. This was regarding the financial condition and the credit system in rural areas. Moving forward, let us see how was agricultural market system in rural areas. In earlier days, especially post-independence, the farmers, that too small and marginal farmers, used to sell their produce to the traders to a very cheaper rate. But now, we have a regulated market system in the country. So let us see how was the rural marketing system in earlier days and how it is now. So agricultural marketing, when we talk about, it is a process that involves assembling, storage, processing, transportation, packaging, grading and distribution of different agricultural commodities. So here when we talk about the market system, it's a very broader term. It is not just selling the agricultural produce to the consumers, but it also includes all kinds of marketing activities like assembling, storage, processing, then transportation of the produce from one place to another, packaging, grading of the food grains, produce, various types of vegetables and grains, and not only that, along with that, distribution of different agricultural commodities across the country. So as I said, prior to independence, farmers, while selling their produce to traders, and suffered from faulty weighing and manipulation of accounts. So in order to safeguard the farmers from these exploitation and manipulation from the traders, the government intervention was needed. In order to solve the problems of rural farmers, the government took various measures to improve the rural marketing system. So it mainly introduced 4 measures. The first one is regulation of markets to create orderly and transparent marketing conditions. That means it brought the regulation of markets. Say for example, we all have got RMCs, that is regulated marketing councils, where the markets were regulated by the government and a minimum selling price was fixed. So apart from the regulation of markets in a transparent and orderly manner, there was this provision of physical infrastructure facilities like roads, railways, warehouses, godowns, cold storages and processing units were established by the government. And third, it introduced cooperative marketing, particularly in realizing fair prices for farmers' produce. For examples of cooperative marketing, we have HOPCOMS, that is Horticultural Produce Cooperatives Management Society, where particularly the farmers producing fruits, vegetables and flowers are encouraged to sell their products to the direct consumers. So, introduction of cooperative marketing, as well as the next one is providing assurance of minimum support prices, that it introduced MSPs, which were, these are the policy instruments, like one is MSP, the other one is the maintenance of buffer stocks of wheat and rice, particularly by Food Corporation of India, and not only the maintenance of buffer stocks but also the distribution of food grains and sugar through PDS, that is public distribution system, particularly for those people who are holding the BPL card, that means below poverty line. So, these were the 4 important measures taken by the government of India in order to improve or reduce the poverty as well as improve the rural development and the rural people, particularly the agricultural market. Moving forward, some of the emerging alternate marketing channels that the rural people have, that means the farmers directly sell their produce to consumers, it increases their income. So, if the farmers are able to sell their produce to the consumers, then their income can be improved. So, cutting down all these intermediaries will help them in gaining more profit. So, some examples of these channels are Apni Mandi. It is called in Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan, they call this as Apni Mandi, and in Pune they call Hadaspar Mandi, and they call Raitu Bazaars, particularly vegetable and fruits market in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and they call Uzavar Sanders Farmers Market in Tamil Nadu. So, these regulated markets are called in different names in different states. But all these markets like Apni Mandi or Raitu Bazaars are all a platform for the farmers to sell their produce, particularly directly to the consumers. Apart from government regulated markets, these are the alternate marketing channels that the farmers of India have got. So, this was all regarding some of the major problems of rural development and credit and marketing system of rural areas. Hope you all have understood. Thank you.